So you guys' first record, Legions of a Different Kind, it came out, I guess, October of 2020. And at the time, there was like a lot of bands weren't putting out records because, you know, they wanted to wait to tour. And then the bands that did put them out, they like got a lot of attention because there wasn't a lot of like records coming out, basically. And then some bands, they put out a record and they felt like it got kind of, you know, forgotten about. How do you feel like putting out a record at that time? How do you think that played out for the band?
Well, I definitely think it was like, you know, like you said, not really a lot of music was coming out, you know, because no one could really get out there and tour on it. But before that record, like we had never really toured. Like we did a couple of weekends or whatever, so it was never really like a hold up to us. Like it was always gonna, like prior to the pandemic, like that was already the release date anyway, and it was like we're not gonna change it, you know. So it's all good.
Yeah, of course. Do you think that the fact that there wasn't as many records at the time allowed it to kind of had a bigger impact? Because that record, a lot of people took notice of that record, especially for a band that, you know, like you say, hadn't toured or hadn't done a lot beforehand.
I think so, yeah. I mean, like, exactly, like, you know, the market wasn't super saturated or whatever, but I mean, yeah, coming off the 2 demos, like, I know, like, a lot of people were stoked to hear the first LP that we did and shit, so definitely worked out, though, yeah.
Yeah. That record you obviously wrote and recorded as a 3-piece, and then you've added more members to the band. How do you feel like having that second guitarist in the band changed, or do you think it had any effect on how you wrote the new record?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it kind of allows for more more like independent guitar playing, like more harmonies, more solos, you know, shit like that. So you can actually pull all that kind of stuff off live. Because like going into Legions, we were starting to play more, and you know, you just can't really do that stuff with only one singular string instrument. And also, I mean, like, yeah, just live, having stereo guitars, like unison riffs in stereo, just sounds like much better. You know, the guitars sound pretty bad pan center, but once you record 2 guitars and pan them left right, it's like huge. So
yeah, of course. A lot of the songs that you guys, especially like the 2 songs from the new record, like they sound like they have hooks. I'm not saying that they're pop songs, but like they have memorable hooks in those songs, which is something I feel like a lot of heavy bands avoid. They just want to give you riff salad. Like, is that something that's intentional, or is it that's just how you write songs?
No, that's definitely intentional. Like going into this record, we wanted to pretty much only do that kind of thing, and which I'm not saying we won't do more songs in the future that are more linear and long, like on the last record and older material, but on this record specifically, for sure, we were like, let's do songs that you know, like have memorable hooks, and like the title is based around the hook, like shit like that. So
yeah, that's cool. So I understand you recorded the record like early last year, I guess. You must be kind of chomping at the bit to get it out at this point. You've sat in it for a year. Yeah,
it's the longest we've ever had to wait to release music, and dude, it sucks. Like, I hate sitting on tunes, because then you're like listening to them by yourself, you know, like, and sometimes you hear it and you're like, this is awesome, and sometimes you listen to it and you're like, this sucks. So I hate that. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome to have it out for sure. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's cool, man. You weren't tempted to put it out before the Black Dahlia tour?
Honestly, I actually think that could have been one of the plans originally, but with the backup of vinyl and everything, there's just no way. So I'd rather have the records, you know, like when the album comes out, than have everyone that pre-ordered have to wait like 6 months. I just don't really like that. So it's all good.
Yeah, cool. And that tour with Black Dahlia, that was like one of the first like proper tours that happened post-pandemic. How were people, I know it's a little while ago now, but how were people reacting to being back at shows?
Everyone I talked to was extremely stoked. Some people said they haven't been to shows in like 2 or 3 years. I was fortunate enough to like attend a couple out here in Rochester. You know, actually I think the first live music I saw was there's a big mansion here called the Eastman House. So like George Eastman invented like film cameras, so it's like his big mansion and shit. And there's like a giant panoramic organ there. I saw an organ performance during like 2021, but yeah, that was cool. But yeah, a lot of people were telling me that they hadn't been to see any live music in so long, so I think that people were just extremely excited.
Yeah, of course. So obviously I'm interested in the guitars that you guys use. Some of the early stuff that I'd seen of you, like early last year, you were both playing like these badass BC Rich guitars. And then some point it switched over to like you were playing like a Strat with one pickup and your dude is playing like a Les Paul Jr. That's awesome, dude. What was going on there? Was that like intentional to, you know, to be a little bit different, or was that just how things panned out?
Well, I know Jared's owned that guitar for a really long time. It's like one of his first guitars, the Les Paul. So, I don't like. It's just a killer guitar. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a little nicer than the BC Rich. Although the BC Rich has whammy, like the Floyd's on it, so we use it for some stuff. And the Strat, I actually owned the Strat for a really long time too, but I sold it right when Undeath started. Basically, I needed cash, and then I bought it back recently. So I was like, I'm gonna use this on the record, and then it just wound up being like a really dope guitar. So I kept it around, still playing it. It doesn't quite look as badass as like the Crackle BC Rich, but
I mean, who cares though? You know what I mean?
It fucking plays and it sounds awesome. I'm having a Floyd Rose installed on that right now, so it'll be a little more metal too.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, dude from Obituary has played a Strat for whatever it is, like 30 years anyway. So
exactly, dude. Yeah, I mean, they're 25.5 inch scale length. I mean, they're about as metal as you can get without having like a fucking baritone scale length and shit. So
yeah, I get you. So what did you guys use as far as recording the record? You said you used the Strat on there.
Yep, I played all of my guitars. I played the white Warlock that I just sold. I played the Strat. I did all my rhythms on the Strat, and then rhythm doublings on the Crackle BC Rich. And I believe Jared used his Les Paul for all rhythms, and then doubled with his BC Rich as well. Okay.
And then what did you guys use for amps?
We tested out a lot of stuff, but if I remember correctly, we wound up going with the PV 3120s that we used live. Those were like the main rhythm tracks, and then the doubles were both JCM 800s. And one of them, I can't exactly remember the models of both of them. One of them was a bit later, had a little bit more gain, and the other one was like an early 70s one. Yeah.
Were you boosting the Marshalls at all, or just straight in?
Yep. Just with our pedals. I use a Maxin OD808, and Jared plays with a SD1.
Gotcha. There's a lot of bands now don't tend to play live with like real amps anymore. Most people seem to, not most people, but a lot of people seem to be going towards modeling. Is that something you guys are interested in at all?
Not really for like how I'd like to do it, but if there was ever a date where like if it was a really good offer, something we had to fly, and like we can't bring our amps or something, it's something I'd consider. But even in that, I'd rather just rent or something. Like playing amps is cool. I think rock and roll is not really rock and roll without amps, and death metal is just kind of like rock and roll. So it's like, yeah, without amps, it sucks. Yeah,
I getcha. I mean, you could do some cool stuff on there if that's what you want to do, like the that last Acacia Strain tour where they did all that crazy shit with the MIDI switching and everything. That stuff was amazing.
Yo, that's the thing. Like, definitely music that has like more dynamics and more tones and everything like that. I think that it's a massive benefit, especially for like if you're doing like fusion, and you're like you don't need to bring like 5 different amps, like one for like really high gain and like all this channel switching and shit. You can just pre-program it on the Kemper. So it's like, yeah, it's awesome for that shit. But we never change our tone. I just like, I don't know, dude. I like to play with I like to have the amp. I think it's kind of not that a Kemper isn't an amp because it amplifies your sound, obviously. But
yeah, it's actually yeah. I gotcha. What was the was there like a specific tone you guys were going for with the record? Not in terms of just the amp tone, but like the overall album sound, I guess.
Yeah. I guess like we definitely wanted to. Well, it's like different now because we have a different. I'm sorry. The recording engineer actually mixed it this time around, whereas our friend Ben did the mixing last time and the mastering as well. So I don't know if we were necessarily going for anything specifically different. It was just a change of personnel, and we knew that would lend some sort of different characteristic to the recording. So I don't like to pre-plan too hard about how things are going to sound when they're completely finished, because a lot of fucking hands touch the album before it's done,
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So what do you guys got set up for the year? I know you've got that the Dying Fetus tour, and you got a couple of dates with Acacia Strain. Anything else interesting happening after the record comes out?
Not anything that I think I could say or anything, but also I'm sure we will be back around the US a couple times this year. So other than that, yeah.
Cool. All right, well, that's all I got. Thanks very much for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, hey, thank you very much for having me, bro. It was really fun. Not many people ask about the guitars and bullshit, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Killer Guitarists is here for. You know what I mean?
Hell
cool,
yeah,
man.
dude. All right,
Take
buddy.
care of
Peace.
yourself, brother.
Yeah,
Cheers.
you as well.